Hey guys, this is Chauncey from Good Music to Know, and today's guests are a band that doesn't just play loud, they play honest, gritty, raw, and rooted in defiance. The Monday Smile channels this kind of 90s grunge energy that hits you right in the chest. Their debut album, Nothing, is here to say something. From class commentary to personal chaos, this record holds up a cracked mirror to society and then shatters it, and we're super stoked to have them here today. So I read somewhere that you guys described yourself as a band in bed with the Nothings, the Outcasts, and the Freaks. And there's definitely something like unpolished and honest about that. So where does that sense of identity come from, and how has it shaped your sound perspective as a band?
That's a good question. I guess being open about it comes from experience, really, as a kid, and just my experience as a kid. I never really fit into anything. Where I lived, my situation, being into what I was into, it didn't really translate with the rest of my school or community around me. So I very much felt like I was not accepted. And I think I carried that a long way through a lot of my life. And I know the rest of the guys in the band had a similar experience. And that's why we feel quite comfortable and safe around people that do not fit in.
Yeah.
And we're very much it's sort of free from judgment, free from that kind of stuff. That is where we feel most safe.
Yeah. And then the title itself, so Nothing it definitely feels like the perfect title. Like, it's bold and almost confrontational. So what does that word mean to you guys, like, in this context of the album?
I don't want to sound too morbid or miserable without just being honest about it. But essentially, that's kind of how I see the world, especially now, particularly in the last 10 years. I would say that it's become more obvious in the sense of we live in a society or a world, really, where everyone feels like they need to mean something a little bit, like they're all on, social media, TikTok or whatever, filming their lives, talking about themselves. And it's like this kind of, and I'm not saying, anything negative about people. We are creatures of habit, and we also seem to follow everybody else, even if we don't mean to do so. We have this self-importance as a species where we think that what we do is important and meaningful. Yeah. And I don't agree with that at all. I think that everything we do is insignificant, and to put that into perspective in relation to what we do, I don't think that we matter. We are a band and we do what we do and we release records, but in 100 years, if you want to ask who we are, I don't think anyone will know who we are. And I don't think, in 100 years, if you ask who Nirvana were or the Beatles or whatever, I've got a pretty good feeling that nobody will know who they are either. And that's okay. You could perceive that negatively. Like, I could say, I'm nothing, they're nothing. Nobody is anything. We're meaningless, nothing. Right? But I don't see it as a negative. I see it as a freeing thing. Like, we're free. Yeah. Because the minute you realize and recognize that what you do is meaningless and insignificant,
which is cool. Yeah.
Then you do not have to worry about any of that stuff anymore. You don't have to worry about pleasing other people or wearing a mask or any of that stuff. And for me, that's why we called the album Nothing, because that's what we really are. Yeah. That's horrible in a way.
Yeah.
I'm just being honest, that's how I feel. So yeah, the record, we called it that for those reasons.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to sound a bit cliche, but I think the easiest way to stay grounded is if you look at Earth and then you look at our entire solar system and then you see how small we are on the scale of what the universe is. It's like, yeah, trust me, we're not at the center of anything.
Yeah, we are the pale blue dots. We are
exactly
insignificant, really. And that's wonderful, because, it levels everything. You could be the richest person on the planet, but you're nothing. You're like, you're equal to everybody else. And I think we get lost in our own egos a lot. And I think that's incredibly sad. And hopefully that will change at some point.
Hopefully, yeah.
Yeah.
And then you have the song Eat the Rich, which the title itself isn't subtle. It's a commentary on maybe like class and then capitalism. So how do you see the role of artists when it comes to like calling out societal like injustice or like collective like disillusionment?
I like that word, disillusionment. From my perspective, I have as much in the game as you do or anybody else. Like, if you want to talk to me about politics, I would say I don't really have can I swear on here or not?
Yeah, you can.
I don't have a fucking clue. But I have this real dislike of the rich. What was funny is I saw the other day, this like interview with Tupac, right?
Yeah.
Like, I like hip hop in its element, like, but I'm not a massive fan of it. But his message was essentially like, how do you become this, Nobel Peace Prizing humanitarian figure when you're a millionaire and you've got all this money, and then there's somebody that can't even feed their kids, and yet you're this humanitarian, you're the one that gets the prizes. And in the same breath, that makes sense to me. If you want to look at the causes of all issues on our planet, it's normally related to people that are the ones at the top.
Yeah.
And you can't deny that. And I don't know, man, like, if you distributed the wealth, maybe like things would be better. Yeah. But it's complicated, right? I'm not going to say that that's a simple issue. But Eat the Rich essentially is about how there's quite a famous image of these people at a table when all the peasants are holding up the table, and if everyone just stood up, everything on the table would collapse, like it would fall. Wow. And to me, that again makes sense. And I just think the world's a bit fucked up, and I feel like the rich are to blame for a lot of it.
Yeah. Well, there's no such thing as an ethical billionaire. Not really.
No, and the people that are at the top, the CEOs and that, it takes a certain kind of human being to be that. That narcissism, that level of, self-worth, like, the most important thing, and I need this. And there is also that thing of all the billionaires are miserable. And there's a reason for that, because our souls are not fulfilled in that way, like, I find it hilarious that we're still there, like, in that mentality. Like, some of us need to be ultra rich in order that they think that they're going to find what they're looking for in that.
Yeah, meaning or happiness. Yeah,
they can't, so they do other crazy things to find that happiness. It's just insane to me.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
I can't,
and then you have tracks like I'm Not Going Out Like This, which definitely kind of feels like pure defiance. It has like this fuck off energy to it. So what was driving that song when you wrote it?
There's a lot of things from a very early age when I started doing music. It started with Nirvana, really, hearing Nirvana. And I was very lost, and then I came across Nirvana, and it spoke to me, and it gave me this sort of sense of defiance and this sense of like, you don't have to accept this, and more about being yourself and all that kind of thing. And I think I'm Not Going Out Like This is much more about just me growing through experiences that I've had and not giving up on it, and just figuring out who I was.
Yeah.
And even though I'm a lot older now, I would say that when the Monday Smile started was around the time that I actually figured out who I was.
Yeah.
It was quite late in life to figure that out, but essentially it's the understanding that, like, you being you is your superpower. That is all you've got, because that's all that you are, and which doesn't mean anything, but like, you've got to want that, and you've got to make the most of that. And I think that essentially what that song's about.
Yeah. Also a massive fan of Nirvana. I have a Nirvana tattoo, but yeah, Kurt.
Yeah.
My mom was a massive, massive fan of Nirvana when I was growing up. So yeah, Kurt was definitely played. But yeah, just curious, were there any songs on the album that just like flowed out naturally, or maybe ones that kind of like took forever to finally come together?
Interestingly enough, like, the thing about our band is we're in our infancy. Like, we've only been together a year and a half, and we've not been together long. And a lot of bands don't do what we've done, which is essentially they allow themselves a few years to figure out who they are.
Their sound, everything.
Yeah, and they don't allow, and this is, to me, this is sad, because from a lot of the bands that I loved, including Nirvana, you know, they would allow people to see all of them, you know, all of their warts and their negatives and their growth. You know, like if you take early Nirvana and Bleach or Incesticide, which is probably much more an accurate thing of what Nirvana was before they were Nirvana, you get to hear them going on their journey and figuring out who they are. And very much for us, Nothing is that. It is a snapshot of a band figuring out who it is. So going back to what you were asking, which is essentially like, did things come out naturally? Yes, very much so. They just sort of filtered out. A lot of them were a collection of ideas that maybe I had early on, like maybe 3 or 4 years before I even started the band, and they were just like little snippets of recordings on your phone or whatever. And then when I met Wookie and Rusty, like together, we created the songs and they came out very organically. There wasn't really any kind of like, if it wasn't working, it didn't become a song, basically, which was rare. You know, for example, I'm Not Going Out Like This, that's a very quick song, just came out very quickly. Seeing Double was a song that Rusty bought the bass line and he bought an idea and I went away with it for a day and then we made it something. Most of the songs were just very much sort of organic and very carefree, and we're like working on our second record at the moment, and that's
already wow.
Yeah, well, we're gonna start recording the album in January. The songs are written, like we've got the whole thing down. But what that has really said to us, and this might sound a little bit, I don't know what it sounds like, but essentially, we don't feel like what we're doing is something that we're doing. So when we're in a room together, it's not like it's ours. We're just experiencing it. So whether that's good or not, it's not for me to make a decision on. But the experience itself, like what's coming out of us, it's not like, oh, I want it to sound like this, or I want it to feel like this.
Yeah.
It's not really about us. It's about what comes out between the three of us. We make something together, and that's what it is. And we're okay with that. So we maybe get to look at it afterwards and go, oh, well, I like that bit, but we should shorten that bit. You know, and it's as simple as that. So that's kind of how we operate. And I think that makes it natural, you know, or organic, or authentic, or whatever word you want to use. It makes it that. It's not really ours.
Yeah.
We're just getting to enjoy it. We get to view it, you know, we get to experience it. And that's how it feels. It doesn't feel like I'm or Wookie or Rusty are trying to like push it in any direction or let our egos get in the way of it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, oh, well, this is the song and I love it. So it must be something because it's
And like, obviously we touched on this, but like your sound is like soaked in this like 90s grunge. When I first heard the album Nothing, I definitely obviously got Nirvana and then reminding me of Bush and then a bit of like Hole. I loved Hole. But there's like a modern twist to it, which is also quite nice. Is it more homage or is it just like what naturally comes out of you when you like lean into this kind of like 90s grunge type sound?
A lot of people are afraid of influences, you know, they're always like, oh, you know, I don't want to sound like blah, blah, blah. But if someone said to me, oh, like you sound like Nirvana or, you know, I find that to be really flattering. Like, it's like, oh, you know, why would you not want to be compared to things that, you know, spoke to you? You know, like, and even to this day, like, I don't think it wasn't necessarily intentional to sound like these artists, you know, but when that's what you listen to and that's what you can connect with, it's going to come through you somehow. And anybody that ever says that they make original music is lying. You know, like there's only you know 12 notes in a scale or whatever, and I'm not even a musical person. Like I would never class myself as that, but like you're just churning out what speaks to you. And I definitely would say that our first album is very much us wearing our influences on our sleeves quite a lot and tipping our hat to those that have guided us and given us, you know, the experience of being able to make music, you know, and speaking to us in that way. I think we are definitely now with our second record evolving beyond that, but to say that Nothing is just in our influences wouldn't be accurate. Or us being influenced by and then just giving what our interpretation of that. So that's probably where the modernness comes from. But I would never be insulted or offended by someone that says, "Oh, you just sound like Nirvana," and I'm like, "Okay, well, there's way
There's
worse
things to sound like." Yeah.
And thank you. Like,
Um,
and I sound like one of my favorite bands of all time. So, you
Yeah.
know, and I know from my experience how I got there. So if someone is offended by that, that normally means maybe that they've ripped it off, you know, or they've purposely gone there. Whereas for me, when they say that, I'm like, I haven't intentionally gone, I want to sound like Nirvana, or I want to sound like Soundgarden, or Alice in Chains, or Hold, for example, who I love as well. And yeah, it's not like that. It's just nostalgia. You carry that with you, you know? It's like a very, it's a thing you can taste, nostalgia. It's like it gets under your skin, and you song and you're like, oh, I'm a kid again. Like I'm in that moment. You know what I mean? It's deep. So I don't think you can ever just shake that off. It's not something that you just like go, oh, I'm not gonna make music that talks to me like that, because that's what you want.
And I mean, even if I did make music, I always find myself going back to that alternative rock genre from the early 2000s and 90s. Like, obviously I listen to music now and everything else, but that holds a very special place in my heart. That whole era of music was it was so good. It was really good. But yeah.
It was special.
Yeah. And then I read that your shows, and I saw some videos, but they're described as like raw, direct, and visceral. So just curious, is there a particular song from the album that you're most excited to play live, or that you love playing live?
For me, I love playing. I'm not going out like this because I don't really have to think about it. It's a really simple song, and I get to just, you know, it's always at a point. Well, it's normally close to the start of the set we do it, but it's always well received, and I don't really have to think, and I can sort of let go a little bit. Where there's other songs like What Else Am I that are quite vocally heavy, like and like there's a lot to think about, and it's quite complicated. So it's nice to have a song like that you can just sort of let go and sort of just get lost in. So yeah, I would say that song. But I'm, you know, like it's a weird one, because, you know, people that are listening to the album now, and I'm already like thinking about the next one. So when we play the new ones live, I'm like really like into that, you know.
Yeah.
So it's a weird one in that sense, because it's all about the new stuff for me, because I've sat with those songs for so long that it's kind of like, you know, I'm used to them, yeah. But our live is where it's at for us, and not that I would take offense of it, but essentially I want people to say, oh, they sound better live than on the record. That's what I would prefer. Not like, oh, their record sounds amazing, but I went to see them live and they sounded okay, like, or whatever. And the energy from the live perspective is much more important to me. And I think that's just because the bands that I grew up listening to, that was probably the case too, you know?
Yeah. If nothing is chapter 1, what kind of like chaos or beauty or might we expect from chapter 2? Or I don't even know if you can tell us yet, but what can we expect maybe?
What can I tell you? It's already figured out. From my perspective, I'm very old school in the 90s world, where artwork is very important. The concept of the album is very important, like what it means. Everything has meaning to me. So the expression of the songs and the record itself. So I already know what it's called. We already know what it's going to look like, sort of. We already know how many songs are going to be on it, what we want to do that's different with it, and all that stuff. So it's already kind of there. I can't tell you any of what it.
Okay.
You know, it's more exciting for fans to like. We want to try and claw back a little bit of that sense of discovery that you don't really get anymore. You know, the internet is a great thing. You know, it's also a really terrible thing too, because gone are the days of walking into a record store, finding discovering artists on, say, like a compilation album, and then investing in them, buying their record and investing in hearing the rest of the songs. Now you just go Spotify or YouTube or iTunes, whatever it is that is your poison, you're going to go in it, you're going to find it, and you can just listen to it instantly. And it becomes much more throwaway and a less of an investment. We're trying to hold on to a little bit of that, which is probably to the detriment of us, you know, maybe, I don't know. But essentially, like, we know, like, for example, the music video is dead, it's over, because TikTok or whatever's killed it, but we're still going to make music videos. We don't care. Like, it's still an expression of the record and the art of it. And those people that want to make music videos and that like want to express themselves through that, we want to get them involved to do it, so that they get an outlet.
Yeah.
So it's all of that stuff. So the second record will basically be that. It's going to be a lot of stuff, and it's going to be a merging of old and modern in the sense of like how we release it, what we do with it. And it's going to be...
Will it be on vinyl?
Yeah, always on vinyl. I would love to do a run of cassettes as well, just for fun, because it's just because I started collecting cassettes as well. A lot of it is like the fan in me. So the vinyl thing is like, I listen to vinyl and I want my album on vinyl. I want to put it on my wall, for fuck's sake. Like,
vinyl's making a massive comeback, which I'm really proud of. Like, there's so many of my friends who, like, a few years ago, I wouldn't consider them music heads, but now, like, you can like go to Urban Outfitters and you can buy a like cheap record player. Like, so many people are investing now, and they're like reinvesting again and buying music. Makes me very happy. Yeah.
I think there's a kind of like a pushback to the whole digital thing. I think there is a sense of lack of fulfillment in that. People are feeling less fulfilled the more we go down this road.
Yeah.
And there is that thing of like owning it for yourself, like. And maybe CD if we can afford it. Like, it really is about money as well. Like, for a band like us that are doing it all ourselves, like, the label is ours, everything is us.
Wow, and the distribution and everything.
Everything is us. Like, no, there is no one outside of us that is involved right now, and that is okay with us because we are at that level. We are where we are. There is a bit of a fear that comes with it for us too. If like a record label wanted to get involved, it would be like, okay, what are you going to actually give us? What are you going to bring to this? Who knows? And we're not closed off to it, but we're very sort of like, well,
you like what you have going on. Yeah.
Fucking doing it, so like we'll keep doing it, and this will go as far as it's supposed to go. We're very much like, this is not in our hands, so we'll see.
And just curious, like, what's a thought or even like a feeling you'd love to leave listeners with after they hear the album?
It's okay to feel however you feel about it, and you take what you want to take from it, and it's yours. And whether you like or hate us, that is absolutely okay. That's the thing about music for me that is the most wonderful part of it, is experience, and it's a very, very individual experience, and you love it or you don't love something. And that we live in a world where it's not okay to be an individual now. Like, it's much more about like, whose camp are you in? Where do you sit here? And you can go that politically, or you can go wherever you want, but essentially you are not, if you are not on that team, you're on the other team.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that to me is absolutely crazy, because the beautiful part of being a human being is the individuality of it and that expression of being an individual. So you can hate what we do, or you can love it, or you can just not really give a shit. Like, whatever it is, that is your experience, and that's what I want.
Yeah.
That's what they're about. Like, you experience it how you want to experience it. And the same with the lyrics, and like, the song means something to me. And if someone said, what's this song about? I'll be like, I don't really want to tell you. I want you to just
figure it out.
And I want them to, you put your own feelings on that and your own experience. And that's what it actually means to you. Like, that could sound like a bit of a cop out, but like, like, you're just lazy. You've probably just written a song about nothing, which I have.
At all times.
You know what I mean? So and I think it all comes down to that. And like, to give you an example, someone asked us about doing a battle of the bands.
Okay.
We were looking for shows essentially, and we signed up for this thing, and then we got an email saying, congratulations, you are now in the second phase of the battle of the band. And I just emailed them straight away. I was like, can you take us out of this? Like, we don't do battle of the bands, because how can you pitch one band against another? Like, it is absolutely an individual experience. Like, how can you judge this band with this band? If this is a pop band and this is a hip hop band and this is a rock band, how do you even
exactly Yeah.
And that translates across the board for me. So yeah,
Yeah.
I know that was a very long-winded answer to your question.
No, it's all good. And so what's next on the agenda for you guys for 2025? Do you have any shows coming up? I know you're working on the second album already, but anything else in the works?
Yeah, so we've got a series of shows that are lined up to finish out the year, and we're still like taking on shows because we love playing. Like we'll play anywhere, like in someone's back garden or whatever. If it's possible to do, we do it. We don't really care if there's 5 people or 5,000. It doesn't bother us. So we just actively seek out shows and allow them to come in if they come to us. So we'll keep doing that till the end of the year, and we'll keep promoting the record that we've put out. But yeah, between that and around that, we're very much focusing on the record and just demoing it and writing it. And also at the same time, I'm like writing for the third.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, way
way ahead.
lines. But yeah, and I'm very much someone that can't really slow down. I have to keep making stuff, being creative, because otherwise this gets a bit squirrely and I don't like it. So I like to just be doing something art-wise, whether that's making artwork or videos or music. It has to be something. So, and there's lots to be done with the second record. So, and we want to start releasing it pretty quick next year. So
yeah, very cool. I think those are the main questions I had for you, but are there like any final words that you'd like to leave the fans and the listeners with?
Just that we really appreciate anybody that gives up their time to step out and say hello, or comments on our stuff, or anything where somebody just says hello, really. I mean, all of those interactions, all of that kind of stuff, it's integral to a band like ours, because essentially it helps get our name out and pushes us. And we want the Monday Smile to be something that people invest in, because that's what we did when we were kids, you know, in bands that we love. And if somebody loves what we do, that's invaluable to us and it's very meaningful. For example, the other week we did this really small show in a local, well, not local to us, it was like a 3-hour drive for us. And we played this show, and this kid, he was like 15. He wasn't old enough to go to the show, but his mum brought him to the show. And he's had a really tough year, like deaths in the family and that kind of stuff, which we didn't know about. It was his first ever gig. So he'd never been to a gig in his life, and he chose us as his first ever show. And she brought him up backstage and he came in and he played bass, and Rusty like gave him his bass.
Oh, cool.
And we had this like really beautiful interaction with this kid. And any time that something like that happens for me, when I was a kid and, you know, I met somebody that I looked up to, or like I appreciated their music or invested in, I'm always in the back of my mind, like, what would I want to experience when that happened to me? Like if I was that kid. And for me, it was just an amazing experience, because this kid was just genuinely happy and felt like seen or whatever, just being there with us. And it took us 15 minutes of our lives, and it was very meaningful to us. And that's what it's about for us. It's like that kind of experience. And we try to do that in any experience we have, even if it's online, because that's basically what you've got nowadays is a lot of people don't go to shows anymore. They just sort of like sit in their phones and like kind of like so yeah, we really appreciate it. So anything like that, essentially, if our fans do that for us, you know, it's meaningful for us.